What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sean Sheehan, and today I am back to review the fantastic One Championship card that went down on Saturday night, one fight night 13, Allazov versus Grigorian. And honestly, you know, obviously this is an MMA website. I'm an MMA guy and this is an MMA show. And there was only 3 MMA fights on this. But it's hard to say that this wasn't the card of the year contender. An absolute joy to watch from start to finish. You know, someone, and I've admitted it before, even when I was speaking to Chatri a while back, like, I'm maybe not the biggest kickboxing fan in the world. I'm like, yeah, you know, or even Muay Thai or whatever. But you know, it's grown on me. I like it mixed in with a bit of MMA, mixed in with a bit of jiu-jitsu as well. It's grown on me. And honestly, if you're looking for a card for, I suppose, the standing arts to grow on you, this is probably a good one to show people because it was really, really, really good. And there's a lot to get to. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to start with the top 2 kickboxing matches. And we'll go through them pretty quickly because they were maybe the most uneventful of the show, and then we'll get into the rest of it as we go. So the main event was Allazov versus Grigorian, and it was a pretty one-sided fight while still being pretty good. Allazov was very, very good in this. He set a high pace early in round 1, and it did look, now to be fair, like as someone, you know, watches a lot of fighting but maybe not a lot of kickboxing, that Grigorian was taking his time and he was trying to maybe pace himself for a later run, and we did see that, but it was very slow early. You know, I spoke to Lineker about this on an interview a while back, and he said, you know, one of his fights, like, that's something he did in that fight and does often. And like when it is 5 rounds, when it is 3-minute rounds as well, I suppose that is more possible. But it's very tough on the other side then to keep up that pace for the full 5 rounds. But that's what Allazov set out to do. And in the second round, I think his distance control really helped his pace, because it was kind of with the teeps, with the knees, with the low kicks. It really, as I said, it helped him keep distance. And it helped him dominate the round while he didn't have to keep as high a pace as the first round. And I think it was very smart. He was, even if it was only 10, 15 seconds of rest, rather than kind of going forward the whole time, it was really, really smart. And he won that round there. Round 3 was closer. Grigorian was landing more hooks, but Allazov still had that distance control. And in my opinion, was still winning from there. But it came to the 4th in, and it was funny, the Grigorian kind of game plan to maybe tire him out and then come late. When it came to the 4th, they both looked as tired as each other. Grigorian was landing more again, but Allazov was kind of still picking away. And I looked down at my notes and I'm thinking, like, is this 4-0 at this stage? And I think it probably was. You know, there was probably an argument. Now, I'm not as up today maybe in the kickboxing scoring criteria as I'm in MMA, but there maybe was an argument for 2-2, but I think that would have been harsh on Allazov. And the 5th round in, look, that pace did tell, but the pace of Grigorian did up as well. And I think he pretty clearly won that round. Landed a massive uppercut early, an absolutely insane round. There was a lot of circling and a lot of movement from Allazov, more so, and you know, so much so that the referee Olivier Coste was telling him to stop circling and all. But in the end, Allazov did get the win, and unanimous decision win there for him, and much deserved, 100%. The other kickboxing match ended inside the distance. And that was Tawnchai against Davit, Kria. Tawnchai was kind of inviting one to the left kick and the left hand all day. Kria was landing his lead hook, but only because Tawnchai was landing so much, I think. And that was kind of the story of the first 2 rounds. It was like, it was a competitive fight, but a clear fight that Tawnchai was just landing more. And then something had happened to Kiria's arm, and he was definitely injured, but the last kick that Tawnchai landed on it, I don't know, did it dislocate his elbow or break his arm, but he was absolutely crunched, and it ended the fight, and Tawnchai got the win in the 3rd round as a broken arm from the kick. Like, there was kind of clear, it showed his arm was like hurt, but then it like cracked. So it was a ridiculous one, and really, really good there. Do you know what? I'm just going to do all the stand-up while we're here, and we'll run through that. And then we'll get to the mixed martial arts and a bit of the grappling as well. Supergirl took on Lara Fernandez. This was maybe a more competitive fight than I think the commentators and a lot of people were thinking. Supergirl was landing her straight rights, her jabs, and it was kind of all her in round one. But in round two, Fernandez came out, landed that right high kick. Supergirl did hurt her to the body at one stage, but it was a much more even round. In the third round it was very even in terms of what was being landed, and I think Fernandez probably landed the harder shots as well. So Supergirl did win the decision, but I think Fernandez had every right to be annoyed. Like, who would I have given it? I probably would have given it to Supergirl, but I think it was very, very close. A very, very close fight. And, Supergirl's only 19 years of age. Her sister, Wonder Girl, is in there as well, so they have a big future ahead of them. Elias, Mahmoudi against Edgar, Tabares. This was probably the biggest destruction maybe on the card, was it? Maybe I must keep going through it here, and we'll see. Maybe there was a big one, but I think this was Elias knocked him down immediately with a left hook, and then there was a knee knockdown. And then there was kind of two half knockdowns that weren't given, just an absolutely insane pace. And then Elias dislocated his finger. He said afterwards he broke his hand. Maybe it was a broken hand, but it looked to me like a dislocated finger. And when he did that, he was like, okay, let's draw a few elbows, let's draw a few knees. 4 knees right up through the middle, and Tabares was done. So an absolute demolition job here by Elias Mahmoudi in... how long was it? It was inside only a few minutes, 1:38 of round one, so very, very quick finish there. Rungrawee then, he took on Nauzet Trujillo. It was funny, like, you see I'd say a lot of these lads train very, very, very hard, and Rungrawee came limping in in his walking, but immediately started kicking to the legs and the body. His straight lefts were just something else. Trujillo came into the round, but Rungrawee was just landing better. Trujillo is bigger and maybe better in the clinch, but kind of looked... His corner said this, so this is not me saying this, but his corner said it between rounds, like, stop looking scared in there. And that's... In round one, it was a bit of that, but that quickly changed. It was a slower start to round two, and maybe for 2 minutes. But Trujillo made it into a pocket fight then, and he was much better. He kind of grew into the fight, and the corner saying is scared. Maybe it was more nerves than anything else, but definitely. Quicker inside was Trujillo, and he did a really good job there. And maybe, if you're carrying an injury coming in and it turns into a pace game, maybe that's a very tough thing to live with. But Rungrawee, I think, got his second win. He was kind of clearly landing harder, but although both were landing in the third round, close enough fight. I thought, look, 2 things won Rungrawee round 3, in my opinion, and that was the accuracy and the power. So he won the decision, and I think he deserved to win that decision as well. Right, that's all the kickboxing. Let's talk about the submission grappling before we get to the mixed martial arts. Now, this mightn't be as good of a breakdown as that, because honestly, I don't know what's going on after that. But anyway, we had Ruotolo versus Dagi, Arslanaliev. It was a very aggressive start. Like, they were kind of... And this tends to happen with the Ruotolo brothers, and honestly it happens with all maybe the grapplers who go in there against wrestlers or sambo artists or whatever it might be. Very aggressive, kind of slapping, like pulling their arms and things like that. But eventually Ruotolo dived legged first in onto both legs. You see some guys like doing the oh god, what's his name, Ryan... Why can't I think of his name? The 140, Ryan Hall and Tony Ferguson, rolling for the legs and trying to get one leg. But Ruotolo actually got both legs, and I don't know if that was by design or just the way it happened, but it didn't do much from there anyway. It kind of transitioned out. Then got into a triangle position after he got to the bottom, slipped out of that, then went for a heel hook, and Dagi 100% tapped. Like, there's just no doubt about it. This is the most clear thing ever. So he stopped. The referee was like, wait, what happened here? Did he tap? Because the referee didn't see it. And then Dagi was like, no, I never tapped. And then as he was saying that, Ruotolo was like, grand. And he just jumped on his back and rear naked choked him. Now, did he get that back a bit easy because your man was not paying attention? Yes. But did your man just that before that and he deserved to get choked like that? Absolutely yes as well. So I've absolutely no sympathy at all for Dagi and Ruotolo. They said afterwards he's getting a shot at £185 for the one championship there. The one championship even. So yeah, that'll be fun to see. And do you know what? I really enjoy these grappling matches in the middle of everything else. Like if you gave me 10 grappling matches in a row, no, I'm like, well, no, do you know what? You hold on to that. You know, that's for someone else. That's not for me. But if you give me like 10 fights and 2 of them are grappling matches or one of them, I have no problem. It's actually like, I really enjoy it. I know some people don't, but I do. I think they're really good. And this one was good, as was the other one. Now, this was even more interesting, the Mikey Musumeci, Jared Brooks grappling match. Brooks was very aggressive early and not aggressive in the same way as Dagi was there, like hitting him or anything, but he was like, when he got to the ground, he was not afraid of him. You know, he was pushing his elbows into his face and his hands into his face. And when Mikey was attacking, Jared was defending things. Like there was at one stage, Mikey like went for a leg lock, and Jared like just turned really calmly, pushed out, did the right thing and got out of it. Like usually when you're not a proper jiu-jitsu artist, you get into that position against someone like that and you're like, okay, I'm just going to tap here to save my leg. But he absolutely did not. He wasn't panicking for 1 second. He did really, really well. So much so that I think Musumeci was attacking more than normal. Now, from a jiu-jitsu expert's point of view, they're probably listening to this and going, Sean, what are you talking about? He's always attacking. Everything he's doing is setting something up. And, you know, I would bow to your expertise in that. But to the layman like myself watching that, he looked in this, and I've watched these last 5 or 6 grappling matches probably in one championship, and to me he looked like, and he definitely was going for like more submissions in terms of like not just setting him up but like actually trying to get him on. Maybe now that's the fact that Jared Brooks is maybe being a bit more aggressive and putting things out there, but I think he I think he did that. But there was a stage in the middle of the fight where he took the back, but Jared Brooks defended it very well, and the referee stood him up then. That was a bit odd. I'm not sure why he stood him up. Like he did almost get him once. So maybe he was like, well, you had your chance again, you didn't get him, right, let's stand it up and let's start again, which, you know, fair enough, but maybe we should do that in MMA. But anyway, the ref did stand him up, and then Mikey literally just like stuck out his leg. He's like, go on, take me down there, go on, take me down. And Jared initially didn't, and I don't know did he ever take him down, but Mikey kind of pulled guard, got into a triangle armbar, and this was a weird one, right, because he was in the triangle armbar, he went for the triangle first, didn't get it, didn't kind of transition to the armbar, didn't get it, and then was like got back into the triangle, although he never kind of gave it up, and it was like the straight armbar, but they were stuck on the ropes as this was happening, and then the referee like literally picked them up, moved them to the side, and like the second he dropped them, Jared Brooks was tapping, and I'm like, surely that move by the referee helped. Like he wasn't tapping one stage, the referee moves him and then he's immediately tapping, and then I saw Jared Brooks giving out and they're like, oh, what's he giving out about? I think he was giving out about that, and I think he's every right, honestly. Like, and I know it wasn't like, I don't, no one really made a big deal of it or anything, and I wonder, I haven't listened if it was on obviously very late at night here, if there's a post-fight press conference or anything, but do you know what, I'd actually really like to see this rematch. I really would like to see it. I thought it was very good. Look, Musumeci was clearly the guy who was always going to get the finish. It was, a lot of it was Jared Brooks defending, but still, I have no real problem with that, and I thought it was very good. And honestly, I think if we look back on that finish the way it happened, I think there's grounds for another match there. So let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. But yeah, in the end anyway, the triangle armbar from Mikey Musumeci, I think it was more of the well, it wasn't an armbar, it was more of an arm lock kind of, and I think it was more that than anything. But you know, when you're cutting both, it's worse than being cutting one, I suppose. So yeah, very good win, and a very, very good I think that might have been my favourite grappling match they've put on so far anyway. That was really, really, really good. Right, let's get to the 3 mixed martial arts fights. The first of all was Jhanlo Mark Sangiao against Enkh-Orgil Baatarkhuu. This fight went almost exactly as I thought, in like how it went in terms of like the fight itself. Like let me see how long it actually went. The 2 rounds and 3 minutes ish. But the finish maybe was a little bit different than what I thought in the winner maybe. It was a compelling opening start to it. Sangiao landed this beautiful spinning fist immediately, an absolutely rapid start. He was going all guns a-blazing. Baatarkhuu got caught. Heavy knockdown for Sangiao then. He was attempting arm bars, a bit of top time from Orgil, but not much in that first round. Now, obviously, we know one championship is scored as a whole, so not scored on round. So, like, you could say it, if it was on, in the US or wherever, you could say he won the first round, but that's not the way it goes. But he dominated that first round and could have had him out of there a couple of times. But Baatarkhuu is a tough guy, and he kept going, kept at it. Landed a head kick and a huge elbow did Baatarkhuu almost immediately in the second round, and it changed the whole fight. And I said two things there. I said the high kick and the elbow, but there was actually three. There was the high kick, the elbow, and then the takedown. And once he got the fight to the ground, it was big trouble, because I said in the preview coming in, like, Sangiao needed to move, needed to stick and move and stay away from him to win this fight, and he showed that in the first round, that he had the ability to do that for large parts. But once you're hurt and then you're on the bottom against someone like Baatarkhuu, it is an absolute nightmare. It really is an absolute nightmare. Baatarkhuu got on top, and like, he got the north-south Kimura, right, which is really a position, and it's easy for me to say sitting here, but like in mixed martial arts these days, the north-south position is a position that usually lads do sweep out from an awful lot, and especially if there's a Kimura, like, he is turning it one way, like, you turn with it or turn against it even, and you turn your legs away from it, you should be able to get out in some way. But I think the fact that he was hurt made that kind of all go out the window. Turb thought he tapped at one stage. After the second attempt at the north-south Kimura, and then he did tap, and there was no doubt about it in the end. But I think a lot of it had to do, even though it was a couple of minutes beforehand, had to do with the big elbow, had to do with the big kick and the takedown after it, and he finished him off well after some ground and pound as well, with the beautiful north-south Kimura, as I would call it. It's massive as well, though, I think, for Baatarkhuu, because Sangiao was one of their top prospects coming through, but both of these lads are, and I said it in the preview as well, like, One Championship have so many good prospects coming through. We spoke about Allazov a couple of weeks ago as well. Like, I think Sangiao is still like a really good prospect, but so is Baatarkhuu. He's only 12 fights into his career, still new enough to the game and all of that. And the way he can wrestle now, his submissions we see as well, with his ground and pound, and he's striking. His striking didn't look bad either. So a massive fight and a massive win for him in that one. I'm going to talk about the John Lineker fight next, because I want to leave my main event and until last. We'll talk about that then. It was a very interesting fight between John Lineker and Kim Jae-woong. I think both of them fought a little bit differently in this fight than how they normally fight. I think Lineker way more intelligently and Kim way more nervously. Now, you would think one's a positive and one's a negative. Well, the guy who I would say fought his, and maybe not the natural fight, was actually winning most of the fight, so it didn't work out that way. But anyway, Lineker was very patient, very, very patient, and as I said, Kim very nervous. He was attacking more than normal. Usually Kim, he's the type of guy who kind of bathes in that pocket. He's very good at standing in the pocket waiting for you to throw and counter on you, and he's comfortable there, but he didn't look comfortable for 1 second against John Lineker. And look, he's fighting John Lineker. I wouldn't look comfortable, you wouldn't look comfortable in there either, so I can understand it. But he did get a lovely takedown, which seemed to settle him a little bit. Landed big elbows, almost took the back. Even more elbows came after that. All control. And for the last 3 minutes, I've said the word elbows now 3 times, and I probably need to say it a few more times, because there was so many of them. There was a late sweep for John Lineker, but didn't really land much, and a dominant first period for Kim. Lineker more aggressive in the second. He got a leg kicks knockdown, landed some nice body hooks, and then he got a takedown of his own, which I talked about in the preview coming in that like that's something you need to do against Kim, but I didn't think for a second John Lineker would do it, but it was very, very smart. And as I said, a really smart game plan by Lineker. Kim went for the triangle, no good. Then they got back up. And again, Kim looked nervy on the feet. He tripped Lineker at one stage, but he got right back up. And Kim was kind of, honestly, now that he couldn't take him down, he tried a couple of times, right? And that he couldn't get his striking going. He just kind of stood there doing nothing for the last 2 minutes of that round. Lineker was landing way better, but like way better of what was landed, which wasn't much for the last 2 minutes. In round 3, Lineker was way more confident again. Kim couldn't get the takedown, but I think maybe the midway period, a little bit before that even of the third round, Kim just like, he said, right, I'm going to give away this fight if I don't start now. And then he did start, and he started landing more. But Lineker was landing too, but I did think Kim was up in the pace and kind of taking that fight away. Landed a lovely elbow, lovely knee, lovely hard leg kick. And like when they scored the fight as a whole as well, that first round where he was so dominant, you know, had him probably a lead that I don't think Lineker had taken up in the second. So the fact that he was winning the third, you know, was kind of gave him that fight. Hard leg kick again by Kim as the round was kind of coming to the last minute or two. He was using his lint a little bit better. Lineker landed a left hook, but Kim got a takedown immediately after that, and it looked like, you know, it was going to just kind of roll to the end. They got back up. John Lineker landed a couple of nice shots, and then with 4 seconds left, John Lineker unleashed a massive left hook and absolutely sparked Kim. And it was the John Lineker of old. And honestly, you know, I thought in his last fight and at times in this fight, Lineker didn't look the fighter he used to look. But by God, in the end of this, he did look the fighter he used to look. And there's still some petrol in the tank. There's still something left. The old dog still has a few tricks left in him. And that was an absolutely beautiful knockout. I think a lot of people enjoyed that one, watching it at home. And even though I'm a big fan of Kim as well, I think he's a very, very good fighter. And I picked him to win this, you know. It's great to see John Lineker getting another big win. And, you know, beautiful finish from him, and the end was just spectacular, absolutely spectacular with that left hook. He called out the champion again. I don't know if that fight's going to happen. We'll see, but I'd love John Lineker versus Demetrius. You know, how about that? I know they're fighting a different weight class and stuff, but like, who cares about weight class? You know, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. And then we had fight of the year contender. So look, this is the type of fight, and I will say this. Some people will hate this fight, right? But people who love fun will absolutely love this fight. Marquez Buchecha Almeida versus Oumar Rungrawee Khan. Rungrawee looks smashing to start this off. Landed a lovely kick to the body, lovely punch, but Buchecha immediately pulled guard. Rungrawee got on top. Buchecha swept him, but Rungrawee stayed on top and absolutely blasted him. They got back up, red face on Buchecha, and this was immediately like, well, okay, I thought Buchecha was going to catch him in something, but now Rungrawee is actually just beating him in those positions as well, and that was the night. That was the night here. Takedown again for Buchecha, but Rungrawee right back up. Jiu-jitsu just did not work. He's immune to jiu-jitsu. Rungrawee got on top with big shots. He threw a soccer kick to Buchecha. Did it land? Didn't know who, you know. Soccer kicks are not legal. You can throw knees to a ground opponent, but not soccer kicks. There was a leg lock attempt from Buchecha, but Rungrawee literally was just like, and just like walked out. The leg lock attempt is over there, and then Rungrawee was like heading off that direction, you know? It was brilliant. Like, for someone like me who's argued that jiu-jitsu doesn't work in MMA, this was you know, this was just pure and obvious. Like, you just walked out of a leg lock, I think, from the greatest heavyweight jiu-jitsu artist of all time. Just made it look easy. Immediate clinch for Buchecha in the second round. And I thought this was maybe the beginning of the end for Rungrawee because he looked so tired. There was a grab of shorts in the middle of it. Herb Dean should he should have just left him alone here. There was there was people grabbing shorts and people grabbing gloves a bit, but like there was nothing major or egregious in there. Just like let him off for God's sake. But anyway, Rungrawee landed a huge uppercut in there, but he was so tired. I don't know what, he just couldn't finish him or couldn't do anything. Takedown for Buchecha, big ground and pound. I thought he was going to finish him here. Got into the mount. Got into an armbar position, but no good. Got out. Rungrawee just walked out of it again. If he kept ground and pounding him, I think Buchecha probably would have won, but jiu-jitsu doesn't work against Rungrawee. So it just didn't work. He just got out, up, and this was the punch of the fight, I think. And maybe it's not one that'll be looked back on totally, but he just, Rungrawee jabbed Buchecha and just rocked him with a jab. Rocked him. And then Buchecha pulled guard, Rungrawee on top, and he kind of just rested for the last 90 seconds. But the third round was the round. There was 1 minute of nodding. The takedown in from Buchecha, took the back. Rungrawee just got out again. Pull guard again, Rungrawee on top, got into the half guard, a few shots from Rungrawee, grab of the glove again, Herb stands him up, and then we had the all-out brawl to match any all-out brawl, Shades of Pride 13 or whatever it was, Dan Severn back in the day and all of that. Oh my God, it's up on my Twitter if you haven't seen it. The two of them just absolutely just throwing bombs at each other, just absolutely all-out war. And it was absolutely brilliant. They were so tired, but giving it everything. These two big, meaty men throwing every bit of meat they had at each other. It was absolutely brilliant. Buchecha then went for a takedown. There was another grab of the shorts, got a yellow card, and that was it. Rungrawee ended up winning, rightly so, won the decision. He dominated the fight for most of it. It was absolutely brilliant. I think they should make the rematch. Honestly, it was fantastic. There was at one point in the fight, right, and I hadn't written this down in my notes, but I think I tweeted it. I think it was in the second round, right, where Buchecha, like, he's a world champion jiu-jitsu guy, and he's basically do nothing but looking for jiu-jitsu, looking for submissions and all of that. There was a one point where he was like, stood there and he was like, okay, I'm just going to throw a punch. And he just threw a punch straight down the middle and hit Rungrawee. And I was thinking like, oh shit, we're in a fight here. I maybe he didn't even hit him, but it was just the fact he threw a punch. I was like, oh my God, he threw a punch. And then he threw more punches. Like, Marcus Almeida, Buchecha lost that fight. But I think, like, if he looks back at it and goes, right, well, I can go in there and I can punch with a guy like this who's, like, clearly improved. I see John Mitchell in his corner from Ireland, who's a very good stand-up fighter, ground fighter, MMA fighter, and he's definitely learned from him and the other guys he's training with. Like, Buchecha should be thinking, like, well, the next time we fight, maybe I can improve there and, you know, we can have a more even fight even. Like, I loved this. I absolutely loved it. It's what, you know, heavyweight MMA is all about, and what a fight. What an absolute war of a fight. So that's it. Rungrawee got the win and he moves on. There's talks of him fighting for the heavyweight championship. Maybe I'd slow the roll on that a little bit, but it was brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic. And yeah, that was the whole card. Just to maybe go through the results again while we're at the end of it here. Allazov beat Grigorian by unanimous decision. There was a triangle armbar from Mikey Musumeci. Tawnchai beat Kria with a broken arm kick. Left hook by Lineker in the dying seconds of the final round. Supergirl won the unanimous decision against Lara Fernandez. Rungrawee, as I just mentioned, won the unanimous decision against Marcus Buchecha Almeida. Elias Mahmoudi beat Edgar Tabares with the knees in the first round. Ruotolo got the rear naked choke over Dagi in the first round, well, the one and only round of their submission grappling match. Rungrawee beat Trujillo by unanimous decision, and Kimura from the north-south position got Enkh-Orgil back to the win over Mark Sangiao. All right, I will leave it there. Thank you to everybody for tuning into the coverage of One Championship this week, and we will be back with One Championship 14 coming up in a few weeks' time, which looks to be a really good card too. All right, everyone, my name is Sheehan for Shardog.com. I'll see you all next time.